Okay, good afternoon. It is May 21st at 12:30. This is our last 7th grade class for the online format. School technically doesn't let out until next Friday, so you still have till then to complete your assignments if you need that time. Hey, Katana, welcome. Uh, I was just saying you have till next week to finish any assignments that you need to finish. I did go to the school yesterday. Hey, Nathaniel, and I picked up some packets that people have turned in so far. Those are behind me. I haven't graded those yet, but I probably will tonight or at some point. I'll go next Friday to pick up any packets that get turned in from now until then. So you have until next Friday to get those. Okay, good. Nathaniel, I'm looking forward to seeing your guys' movie. So yeah, finish that on up. And yeah, if you don't get done with your packets, don't worry about it. Just, so as long as you have, show that were doing work. Hey, Tristan, good to see you also. Cool. So, I know I said I wasn't going to give you any more assignments. This isn't an assignment. It's an exit ticket that I put on the Google Classrooms. So if you click that, it gives you a chance to basically just give some feedback for the online. It's 3 questions. If you don't do this, it's okay, because I know I said I wouldn't give you any more assignments. It's just a chance to give feedback. If you want, just say something that you liked about the online learning, something that you'd like to change about it, and then anything you've learned during the course of the online learning. So it's 3 questions. It's optional. It's just a chance to give feedback if you want. Okay, that's cool, Katana. If you turned it in already, it's probably in the pile behind me. Um, but if not, I'll pick it up at school later. Hey, Nick, good to see you too. Okay, so Nathaniel, to answer your question, you should have about 5 weeks worth of work. But if you're doing a lot of the online stuff and you have less of the online, so if you were doing a lot of the online stuff, but you only did say like 3 weeks or 4 weeks of the packet, I'd be okay with that. Um, so don't worry about that. No, the packets all go up to 7 weeks, but no one has to do all 7 weeks. 5 weeks is like the max that anyone should have done. If you have more, if you have more than that, I'll still give you credit. It's okay, Katana. I'll probably go to the school next Friday and pick it up then. So as long as you get to the school by next Friday, I'm good with that. Or I can drive whenever it gets dropped off. It's not a huge deal. But I think grades might close next Friday, so it probably needs to be turned in by next Friday. Because I do have to finalize those. So, yeah, that's great, Tristan. I look forward to seeing your movie. Okay, and Katana, that's great. I'll just give you some extra credit um, for whatever you did. Actually, everyone who's here, I'll skip the one thing and jump straight to this. I'm doing good, Nick. How are you? I made up these certificates that I'm going to give everyone who's been participating on the online material. Okay, that's cool. I'll probably not pick it up till next week, but I might go earlier than that and pick it up. I actually was at the school yesterday cleaning up my room, so I think Miss Miller did most of the cleaning, but I was there and helped with a little bit. But but okay, so just real quick, I'm going to give everyone of you who've been coming to the online classes, not just people who are here now, but people who've been like coming in and out as well. So you're all going to get a free pass. I'm going to hang these on the wall somewhere in the classroom. I have to clear a wall off, so we have like kind of like an MVP wall, and it will give you a free pass. And I'll write your name on here, and I'll change it to where it says excellent participation to something that suits each one of you. Like, so I know Katana's kind of been going above and beyond participation wise. Nick, you like did like a complete 180. All the online stuff, you've been pretty fantastic about participating. Tristan, like really impressed with you during the course of this online stuff. Nathaniel, like very creative. Narelle had some really cool creative ideas too. Plus, Tristan did that great job with the movie poster with it kind of abstract art that I thought was really cool. But so you're all going to get one of these free passes. Yeah, I'm getting to that, Katana. Sorry, I got a little distracted. So the free pass, you can use it for three things. You can use it to skip a homework assignment from English. I don't have control of the other classes, so just English. If you don't mind doing the homework, you can use it as a free pass to get a box of that movie theater candy. You know how I keep those boxes of like Skittles, M&Ms, Starburst, stuff like that. So you can trade it in for one of those and a juice box, or you can trade it in to have one of the nice chairs for the week. So if you want like to sit in like the beanbag for the entire week or the moon chair, I ordered another one that's kind of like an inflatable. It looks like a boat, but it's only like a one-person one. You like can sit in it or like on it, and it's supposed to be real heavy duty. The pictures for it showed like adults sitting in it, like outside on grass, on sand, and like on a mountain, rocky type environment. So I'm thinking it should survive for at least a few months. So we'll also have that. So if you want, you could use the pass for their homework, the cool chair for an entire week, or if you don't want any of those, you can trade it in for a box of candy and a juice box. So kind of your choice. And I'll have the free pass hanging up on the wall, and you can just pull it down. If you're turning it in for homework, just put it in the homework bin. And if you hand it to me, you can hand it to me for either the seat for the entire week or for the candy, and you can eat it in the middle of class. I am fine with that. Those were the three rewards I was able to think up. If you can think of some better ideas, you can put those on your exit ticket as a suggestion, and maybe we can use that. Maybe like if you're getting in trouble, maybe if you're like Ethaniel and you're always in trouble, so like he can just use the free pass to get out of trouble, I guess. I don't know, but just kidding, Ethaniel. But yeah, so those will be hanging up. I thought I bought cardstock, so I bought this like blue paper, but it turns out it's just blue paper, so it's not reusable like I was thinking. So whatever. Okay, so that's just my thank you for you guys showing up. And again, a few of you showed up a little bit later, so there's an exit ticket on the Google Classroom, and that's a chance to give any sort of feedback you'd like to give. Also, your other chance to give feedback is that dream class. In the dream class, basically you just make suggestions if you were creating a classroom, like what would you do? And I'll read through that, and if something I can incorporate into the classroom, I'll try to. Norel turned his in, and someone else did also. I didn't check the other one yet. They must have just turned it in. But Norel suggested more cool chairs. He suggested maybe free time to read at the end of class. And that's something we could probably work in, like a chance to like give you guys maybe like 10 minutes once a week or so to just read a book that you find interesting. We didn't really do that much often last year, so maybe we can work something like that in. So if you do the dream class, if you do the exit ticket, those are both there, like feedback, like let me know what you'd like to see in the classroom. And if I can accommodate, I will try to. Okay, so since it's our last class together, I'm going to go over the week 5 packet assignments. There was no free time outside. That would be kind of rough though, because if it's just a pass for you, like, or you're just going outside, like, and running around in the window where I can watch you, like, you might be kind of bored if you're by yourself out there. Maybe we could work something like free time for like everybody. I don't know if it will work at home, Nathaniel. You'll have to ask your mom about that. We might be able to work something if I have you for intervention or something like that. Like you could use the free pass for the entire class to go outside for like 15 minutes or so. I'd be cool with that. So we can check that out. But then you would be using the pass to help everybody. But I'm okay with that too. So you could possibly do that. So anyways, I put the answers for week 5 on the Google Classroom. It's only the language arts portion this time. There was no vocab portion for your story this week. Most stories that I've assigned, there's vocab and then the story. This one's an editorial, so there's no vocab for this section. Okay. All right, Nick. I'm fine with that. Yeah, we could do that. I'd probably say you'd have to do the free pass for outside for like intervention, probably not class, depending on what time of the day I have you this year. Last time I had you guys first thing in the morning, but if I have you guys like after lunch or something, we might be able to work that out. But probably more intervention. I'd be okay with that. But okay, so I'm going to go over the language arts thing with you guys, and then if we have time, I'll go over the story, which was an editorial. So your Monday assignment was. Ooh, let me move that back. All right, so your Monday assignment. You were supposed to circle the correct use of a hyphen. Hyphens give people trouble all the time because some words look like they could work with or without a hyphen. And this is just something, English is a weird language, so sometimes you just have to memorize things. The more you see something, so the more you read, the more you write, eventually like you just know by looking at it which ones are right and which ones are wrong. So motorcycle, those are both two words, but they're a compound word, so when you put them together, it doesn't need a hyphen. So motorcycle's not one, so you can put a line through that. 1/3 does need a hyphen. Speedway is just a compound word, so you can just put those together. So you can cross that one out. Ex-boyfriend does need a hyphen, so this is one that you could circle. Timeout does not need a hyphen. It's just two words, timeout. And then sister-in-law does need hyphens. So it should be 1/3 ex-boyfriend and sister-in-law, kind of like a triangle. Which word does not belong? Rescind, recite, revoke, or repeal. All right, so rescind means I take something back. So like maybe I gave someone permission to sit at my desk and then I say, hey, you have to move. I'm rescinding that. Recite just means to talk, like to recite the Gettysburg Address or something like that. Revoke means to take something away. So maybe someone has their driver's license revoked for speeding too much, so it's like taken away. And then repeal means to take away also. So rescind, revoke, and repeal all basically mean the same thing, so those words all belong. Recite means to talk, so that's the word that doesn't belong, so you can just circle recite. The third one, which is an example of imaginative writing, this one's pretty easy because you have an article, a novel, an essay, and a biography. You have 3 informational texts and 1 fictional text, a novel being fiction, so that would be your imaginative, so circle B. Number 4 is this statement of fact or an opinion. This one, the key words they're giving you are most and of all. So those are letting you know that it's going to be an opinion. There's no way to really prove what's the most dangerous. You could go by like accidents or something if you combine all like sports together or something. But it's still going to be difficult to know which one is the absolute most dangerous. It might be the second most dangerous had fewer accidents than the most dangerous because people got lucky or something. So since there's no way to really prove or disprove this, it's going to be an opinion. The part up here, I was thinking people might have trouble with, past, present, future. Present and past are pretty easy. Speed, sped, take, took, cheer, cheered, win, won, lie, lay, choose, chose. The future is the one that tends to throw people off, but it's actually really easy. All you do is put will in front of it. So will speed, will take, will choose, and so on. So for future, you just have to put will, and then it's the same word. Past is the one where you have to actually know the word, but you guys are 7th graders, so I'm sure you guys already know, like sped, lie turns to lay, win turns to won. So we won't spend any real time on that. Tuesday seemed pretty self-explanatory also. There wasn't really anything on this one that I thought that we would really need to go over other than the first one, exceed and exceed. Exceed with an A is to like give permission. So like an exceed is to do better than someone expects. So like if I give you an assignment and you exceed my expectations, you did like a better job than I expected. And exceed with an A means like I give you permission to do something. So if someone has to get a drink of water, I give them permission to do that. So the first one, the answer would be the EX one. You've probably heard exceed before. You probably haven't seen this one as often just because it's kind have like a less common word we don't use very often. The only other one here that I thought people might have some issues with were number 4, and this is just crossing off extra information. Technically, that sentence, those 2 sentences are right. You could write those 2 sentences, and there's nothing mechanically wrong with that sentence. The issue is, like, as you get older, especially when you're doing writing assignments, one thing teachers will look at is redundancy. And redundancy is when you give too much information. So in this sentence, they repeat themselves a couple of times. So right here it says your age must be 9 to 16 years old. Since we already said your age, we don't need to put years old here because I already basically let you know that 9 to 16 is referring to an age. So I don't need to say that again. So I could cross off years old. And then on the second sentence where it says also you must build your car yourself, besides that, also is a transition word, and besides that is a transition. So these are 2 transitions, and you don't need 2 in the same sentence. So you could either use also or besides that. So I would cross off besides that because that's the second one they used. But if you wanted, you could cross off also and have besides that. It's just you don't need 2 transitions in the same sentence. And this is something English teachers, especially when you get higher in high school, like junior, senior year, that English teachers will really try to harp on you about. Professors in college are big on to like not including redundant information as well, because there's always that tendency to write, to repeat yourself when you're writing just to make it seem like you wrote more. You know, like if I'm giving you an assignment, I say it has to be 3 pages. Sometimes typing 3 pages is difficult, so you kind of repeat yourself. At the higher levels in school, people get upset if you're redundant. So if they give you an assignment for 3 pages, it kind of has to be 3 pages of like new material, not repeating yourself. So just something to keep in mind. And the other days on this seemed like there wasn't anything that stuck out that I didn't think you guys would be able to do. Make sure on the Friday portion you don't do the writing portion. You only have to do the reading portion, so just the questions. If you guys have any questions on that, it's fine. Let me know. Oh, that's fine, Nick. You just missed us going over the first 2 days of the language arts component. So feel free to look up those answers. They're on the Google Classroom. One thing that's not on the Google Classroom is the reading material. There's, like I said, there's no vocab because the section didn't have vocab. This section was on an editorial. We sort of touched on what editorials are in class when we did argumentative papers. An editorial is found normally in like a newspaper or a magazine, but with the internet, most things on the internet are editorials. Also on YouTube, most things are editorials when people are talking about like a movie they didn't like, or especially with regard to politics, if someone's talking about why Trump's good or why Trump's bad, why this politician's good, why this politician's bad, those are editorials. Because they're not just facts. They're telling you facts, but then they're telling you what to do with those facts. Think this way or think that way. Used to be newspapers pretty much were objective. They didn't pick a side one way or the other, except for in the editorial section where they still used facts, but then they tried to tell you their opinion to sway you one way or the other. You guys probably don't watch 60 Minutes. I know it's like a really old person TV show, but the entire show is basically news, and it's just giving you information in a very objective way, or it's supposed to be at least, not telling you what to think. It's just trying to give you information. And at the very end of that TV show, there's a guy who I haven't watched the show in a decade, but the guy would come on and he would tell you what he thought about things. So he was giving the editorial section. This story is an editorial, so they're going to still give you facts, but they're going to point you in one direction or another. This one's pretty biased, and you can tell it just by the beginning because of the imaginative scenario they put you in. So they compare, like, if we took you from living in a mansion to being forced to be in the small area where people can, like, stare at you all day. And they're trying to draw an analogy between the animals at a zoo, being watched versus a human being being taken from their home. So you can already tell from the first 2 paragraphs that they're anti-zoo. And they're not, and that's the thing with an editorial. You're not trying to hide it. You're not going to present the editorial like it's informational text and then slowly try to convince your readers or viewers to switch sides. It's obvious in an editorial that you are taking a stance for one direction or the other. So when you read through this, the important thing is to look at what their arguments are, because that's how you're going to judge an editorial, based on what's their argument and do they give you evidence to support it. So we already know they're saying that zoos are a bad thing. The best way to do an editorial, when you're writing a paper or even talking, is to find out what your opponent's arguments are going to be, and then present that argument and then explain why it's wrong. So if you and I are talking about something, it could be anything, like what's the best car, what's the best truck, what's the best toppings for pizza, whatever. If I know what your argument is, like if I know that Nick really likes sausage and olives on his pizza, and we're arguing about what's the best pizza topping, since I already know what his argument's going to be, I can present that, and then I can try to explain why that's wrong. So I could say, some people think sausage and olives are good on pizza. However, that combination really tastes gross because olives get soggy when they're on pizza, and they change the flavor of the the breading because they get all watery and gross. Something like that. But you take your opponent's argument and you explain why it's wrong. And they do that here. They mention that one of the reasons people say zoos are a good thing is because you get to learn about the animals. So if you know that's the main argument people who like zoos are going to use is, hey, they're educational, it's good for young people to go to a zoo, see how animals live, see what they look like, and learn about them so they can appreciate them. Since you know that's your argument, if you can undercut that argument with actual factual examples, you can, win the argument, maybe even change some people's minds. So their argument here is saying, like, animals in the cage don't behave the way they would behave in the wild, so you're not getting a good representation. Especially this works really well with like water animals like orca, or predatory animals like lions or big cats, since they tend to go like through really wide ranges, like miles and miles every day. Putting them in a cage, they're not in their natural habitat, so they won't act the way they would act in the wild. So looking at that lion that's been declawed in a cage, is that really looking at a lion, or is it like some sad imitation of a lion? Has it lost some of itself by being trapped in this cage? And it's not as educational as it would be because it's not really behaving like a lion. And then they do this again with their second argument, and they talk about how people who advocate that zoos should exist often say that they're protecting the animals, that they're saving endangered species, things like gorillas, rhinoceroses, elephants that are like dying out in the wild because their habitat's been being shrunk. Putting them in zoos is a way to keep them alive longer and maybe get them to reproduce so we have more of them. The problem they point out here is they talk about how it's more beneficial to raise them in their natural habitat, how even though we say we're just trying to protect them, we're making them do tricks sometimes, using them for shows, and so we're misusing them rather than just protecting them. So the kind of like the difference between, I forget the verbiage they use, difference between giving them, treating them comfortably versus reverence. Where they talk about treating them with care, but they should be treated with reverence. So like, there's one thing to like make someone safe. There's another thing to make someone, to allow someone to do what they need to do. Like you could put a baby in like a bubble all day and keep it perfectly safe, but then it's not getting to do the things it needs to do to learn and grow as a person. So putting in the little bubble, it's safe, but it's not able to crawl around and explore. It's not able to learn everything it needs to learn. Similar with like a gorilla, you throw it in a cage, it's not learning everything it needs to do out in the wild to survive. So you can grow more gorillas in captivity, but you can't ever let them out because they won't know how to take care of themselves in the jungle. So there are only 4 questions to this. You only have to do the first 4. You don't have to do the writing portion. So you can just skip that. I know there's a writing portion for each of the 5 weeks, so there's no sense having you do writing for the reading portion. The questions are fairly short, like just 1-sentence answers pretty much for the most part. So get that done at your convenience. If you have any questions with it, let me know. The language arts answers are already on the Google Classroom, so feel free to do that. I will write out one of these free passes for everybody, and next week when I go to the school to pick up your packets, I'll put those in my desk so they'll be there for you next year. And if I forget to give them to you, I'm sure someone will remind me. And you can use those again for either skipping homework, box of candy in a juice box, or one of the nice seats for the entire week. So we only have a few minutes left. So again, just a quick reminder, if you have a chance, do the exit ticket. It's just a chance to get feedback. No wrong answers there. And then the dream class assignment, another chance to give feedback. Let me know what you would like to see in the actual classroom. The exit ticket's more focused on the online class, and the dream class is focused on the actual school building class. So just really a chance for you to say what types of things you'd like to see in class next year. Give some feedback, and if it's something I can provide, I'll give it a shot. If anyone has any questions, I'll stick around for a little bit. Otherwise, you are free to go. Oops, what did I click? I clicked on something, my computer's making noise. All right. So, yeah, any questions? Concerns? I know there's a delay from when I ask something versus to when you're able to hear it and type. I did get a haircut. I messed up my camera again. I was pointed at the top of my head the whole time, I think. But so you're getting a close up on the baldness. So yeah. Hey, and I know we only have a few minutes left, but I really did want to say I was impressed with all you guys. Most of you guys have shown up pretty much every week. A lot of you did a really good job with the online stuff. Tristan, I was really impressed with yours. I was talking about you at school yesterday to Miss Miller about how much your work's improved. Nick, same thing. You've showed up a ton. You've been participating, so I've really been impressed with that also. Nathaniel, Katana, great job also. Nathaniel, I'll give you a grade for the Dream Class project. If you get it done, you'll still get a grade. I know I gave quite a few assignments at the end, so if you don't get every single assignment done, it's okay. Kind of that idea, work 20 minutes a day. If you're working 20 minutes a day, that's fine. If you spend a lot of time on the movie and you don't get to the dream class, don't worry about that. But it's more of a chance for you to give feedback anyways, what you'd like to see in class, stuff like that. And then the exit ticket's more the online stuff. I'm not sure if we're doing any online stuff next year, but if we end up having to do online stuff next year as well, it's kind of a chance to give some feedback on that, what you'd like to see. Okay, Nick, good job. I'll see you next year. Yeah, I don't know about the notifications. Katana, I'm not positive about how to make those show up. Learned a ton about this whole online stuff over the last couple of months, but I don't know how to do that. Maybe I have to be a bigger YouTube star before you get notifications. I don't know how that works. All right, bye, Tristan. I'll check my email and I'll get back to you as quick as I can. All right, so I'm not sure if Mr. Andrews has his class or not after. I'll stick around. Someone stop the feed, so I won't be able to talk anymore, but I'll leave this up and answer any questions if you guys have any. So I'm ending the stream, but I'll stick around to answer questions if you have some. If you have any questions, feel free to type them in.